The morning sun sparkled on the waves as Eric Mason guided the small research boat across the bay. His fingers tapped the wheel with excitement. Today was supposed to be a routine check of the local fish population, but Eric had a good feeling about it. See anything unusual on the radar? He called to Lisa Webb, who was hunched over the equipment in the cabin. Nothing yet, she replied, pushing her red hair back from her face. Wait, there's something strange about half a mile ahead. The readings don't make sense. Eric steered toward the coordinates Lisa gave him. As they got closer, they noticed something thrashing in the water, caught in an abandoned fishing net. Through his binoculars, Eric could see flashes of blue and purple. Looks like a dolphin caught in a net, he said. Or maybe a seal. Lisa grabbed her gear. Whatever it is, it's in trouble. They anchored the boat and prepared to help the trapped animal. Eric put on his wetsuit while Lisa readied the rescue equipment. When they were close enough to see clearly, they both froze in amazement. That's not a dolphin, Lisa whispered. The creature tangled in the net was like nothing they had ever seen. It was about the size of a small dog, with 6 tentacle-like limbs and a body covered in short, dense fur that shifted colors like oil on water. Its head had no visible eyes, but instead, a ring of small sensory pits that pulsed with soft light. What on earth is it? Eric asked, forgetting for a moment that the creature was still trapped. The being made a sound, a soft, musical chirp that somehow conveyed distress. That broke their trance. They worked quickly to free it from the net. As Lisa cut away the last of the tangled lines, she noticed the creature was bleeding a strange, silvery fluid from one of its limbs. It's hurt, she said. We need to take it back to the lab. Eric hesitated. Protocol says we should call this in to the authorities. The creature chirped again, weaker this time, and its vibrant colors faded to a dull gray. There's no time, Lisa insisted. It might die if we wait. They carefully lifted the being into a water tank on their boat. As soon as it was submerged, small dots of light appeared across its body, pulsing in rhythm like a heartbeat. It curled its limbs around itself and became still. Is it dead? Eric asked, worried. No, I think it's stabilizing itself, Lisa replied, watching as the creature's colors slowly brightened again. Back at their small coastal research facility, they transferred the being to a larger saltwater tank. Under the bright lab lights, they could see it more clearly. Its fur wasn't actually fur at all, but thousands of tiny filaments that moved independently, sometimes reaching out as if testing the water. This isn't any known species, Eric said, taking samples of the tank, water for analysis. The genetic structure would have to be completely different from anything on Earth. Are you saying what I think you're saying? Lisa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Eric didn't answer right away. He adjusted the microscope and stared at the sample slides for a long time. These cells, they're not carbon-based. This creature isn't from Earth. The being in the tank suddenly uncurled itself and swam to the glass. It pressed what seemed to be its face against the surface, and the lights across its body pulsed rapidly. For a brief moment, both Eric and Lisa felt a strange sensation in their minds, like a gentle question mark. It's trying to communicate, Lisa realized. They stayed with the creature all night, watching as it slowly recovered. They took turns sleeping on the lab couch, not wanting to leave it alone. By morning, its injured limb had almost completely healed. We should name it, Lisa said, watching as the creature created tiny whirlpools in the tank with its limbs. How about Spark? Look at those little electrical pulses it gives off. As if understanding, the creature, Spark, flashed a brilliant display of blue and gold colors across its body. Neither Eric nor Lisa knew it yet, but by saving this small being, they had just changed humanity's future forever. 1 week passed since Eric and Lisa rescued Spark. The strange creature had grown stronger each day. It swam happily in its tank and changed colors whenever they entered the lab. Today, it glowed a warm orange as Lisa approached with breakfast. Good morning, little friend, she said, dropping small fish into the water. Instead of eating right away like usual, Spark gathered the fish and arranged them in a perfect circle on the bottom of the tank, Then it swam to the surface and made a trilling sound. "Eric, come look at this," Lisa called. Eric rushed over, coffee mug in hand. "What's it doing?" "I think it's trying to show us something." Spark dived back down and swam through the circle of fish. Then, to their amazement, it used its tentacles to lift the water itself. A small column of liquid rose above the surface, defying gravity. The water twisted into shapes, first a spiral, then something that looked like a star map. "That's impossible," Eric whispered. "It's controlling the water molecules somehow." Lisa reached out slowly toward the floating water. As her fingers got close, she felt a gentle touch in her mind. For a brief moment, she saw strange images. A world with 3 moons, vast oceans glowing with light, and tall beings moving through crystal cities. "Did you feel that?" she asked, her voice shaking a little. Eric nodded, his eyes wide. "It showed me, I don't know what, but it wasn't Earth." That afternoon, they brought in a puzzle box they used for dolphin intelligence tests. It usually took dolphins weeks to solve it. Spark examined it for only minutes before opening it perfectly, retrieving the treat inside. "Its intelligence is off the charts," Eric said, making notes on his tablet. "We should tell someone about this." Lisa looked worried. "And then what? Have it taken away to some government lab to be cut open?" "You're right," Eric sighed. "Let's wait until we understand more." Later that night, as they were preparing to leave, all the lights in the lab suddenly flickered. The computer shut down and turned back on, showing only static. "Power surge?" Eric suggested. Lisa checked her phone. No signal either. "That's weird." On the small TV in the corner of the lab, the news showed reports of satellite disruptions around the world. The reporter talked about strange signals being detected in orbit. The military had issued statements saying there was nothing to worry about. "You don't think—" Eric looked at Spark, who was now glowing a deep blue color. "Someone's looking for it," Lisa said softly. For the next 2 weeks, they worked late every night, trying to establish better communication with Spark. They created a simple language using colors and shapes. Spark learned quickly and began to share more images with them mentally. One night, Eric saw a vast ship moving through space in his mind. The image was so clear it made him dizzy. "They're coming," he told Lisa. "Whoever Spark belongs to is coming. Here." Strange lights were reported in the sky above their coastal town that week. The military increased patrols in the area. Lisa and Eric took turns staying with Spark around the clock, afraid to leave it alone. Spark seemed to sense the tension. It created more complex water shapes each day, forming what looked like messages or warnings. Sometimes it showed them images of tall, 4-armed beings with weapons. Other times they saw peaceful scenes of these beings caring for creatures like Spark. "I think it's trying to prepare us," Lisa said one evening as they watched Spark create a miniature galaxy out of suspended water droplets. "For what?" Eric asked. Before Lisa could answer, Spark suddenly froze in its tank. All its lights pulsed in perfect unison, and the water around it began to vibrate. The creature looked up at the ceiling and made a sound they had never heard before, like a song or a call. The windows rattled. Dust fell from the ceiling. Something up there had heard Spark's call, and it was answering. The night grew tense as more military vehicles surrounded the lab. Colonel Franklin stepped outside to report to her superiors, leaving Eric and Lisa alone with Krevtor and Soul of Dancing Currents. "What happens now?" Eric asked the towering alien. Krevtor's mandibles moved in what might have been a sigh. "My ship is in orbit. I must return with Soul of Dancing Currents soon." "Will you come back?" Lisa asked, trying to hide the sadness in her voice. She had grown attached to the small, colorful being. Before Krevtor could answer, the lab doors burst open. A team of soldiers in special black uniforms rushed in, carrying strange equipment. They were led by a man in a dark suit. "This is now a classified operation," the man announced. "I'm Agent Pete Wilson, Special Science Division. We're taking the aliens into custody for study." Krevtor's body language changed instantly. His arms moved to defensive positions and his weapons hummed to life. "Stand down." Colonel Franklin shouted, rushing back into the room. "Agent Wilson, this is not authorized." "New orders from above," Wilson replied coldly. He signaled to his team. "Prepare to sedate the larger subject. Secure the smaller one." Everything happened at once. The special team moved forward with their equipment. Eric and Lisa tried to block them. Colonel Franklin shouted into her radio for confirmation of the orders. Krevtor moved faster than anyone could follow. In seconds, every weapon in the room except his own stopped working. The soldiers' guns made clicking sounds but didn't fire. The electronic equipment sparked and died. "Do not attempt to capture us," Krevtor said, his translator making the words sound more threatening than before. "I have disabled your primitive weapons without harming anyone. This restraint is out, of respect for those who saved Soul of Dancing Currents." Agent Wilson backed away, his face pale with fear. "You don't understand what's at stake here. Your technology could be misused," Krevtor finished for him. "This is why the collective has hesitated to make contact with your species." Soul of Dancing Currents floated between the humans and Krevtor. It pulsed with gentle light, and suddenly Eric felt the creature's thoughts in his mind. "Wait," he said, stepping forward. "Spark, Soul of Dancing Currents, is showing me something. I think it's trying to find a peaceful solution." Lisa felt it too. Images flowed into her mind of different species meeting, sharing knowledge, growing together. "It's showing us what could be, not what is." Colonel Franklin looked at them both, then at the towering alien warrior. "If you meant us harm, you could have done it already. Your weapons are clearly superior." "We do not seek conflict," Krevtor replied. "But we will not be captured or studied like animals." Eric had a sudden idea. "What if we act as go-betweens? Lisa and I have shown we can communicate with Soul of Dancing Currents. Maybe we can help humans and Vexari understand each other, or near." The first time, Krevtor made a sound that might have been a laugh. "This is why Soul of Dancing Currents bonded with you. You see paths where others see walls." Agent Wilson had recovered some of his confidence. "This is bigger than any of you. The whole world will know about this soon. We can't just let aliens come and go as they please." "You're right about one thing," Colonel Franklin said. "The world will know, but they'll know we made friends, not enemies." She turned to Krevtor. "I'm going to need to contact my government. Can you stay until we establish proper diplomatic channels?" Krevtor's four eyes blinked in sequence again. "I will inform the collective. They will send representatives better suited for diplomacy than a warrior." Soul of Dancing Currents swam through the air in happy circles around them all. Its colors shifted to a deep, peaceful blue. In their minds, Eric and Lisa felt a sense of hope and possibility that wasn't there before. "I think," Lisa said with a smile, "this is just the beginning." Outside, the first light of dawn broke over the horizon. A new day for humanity had begun. News of the alien visitors spread quickly. By noon, the small research facility was surrounded by media trucks, curious, onlookers, and more military personnel. The government had no choice but to confirm that first contact with an extraterrestrial species had occurred. Inside, a temporary command center had been set up. Important people from around the world joined emergency video calls to discuss the situation. Eric and Lisa found themselves in the middle of history being made. "The president wants to speak with the alien directly," a nervous aide informed Colonel Franklin. "His name is Krevtor," Lisa corrected gently. "And Soul of Dancing Currents is not a pet but a companion species." Krevtor had moved to a corner of the lab where the ceiling was highest. The massive alien sat cross-legged on the floor, with Soul of Dancing Currents floating nearby. Despite his intimidating size and arsenal, there was something almost peaceful about his meditation-like stillness. A group of scientists arrived, led by Dr. Nancy Grant, a famous expert in astrobiology. She approached Eric and Lisa first. "Is it true you can communicate with the smaller alien telepathically?" she asked without introduction. Eric nodded. "Not exactly words, more like images and feelings. But yes, we have a connection. That could be crucial," Dr. Grant said. The diplomatic team is on the way, but they're worried about miscommunication. Cultural differences between humans are challenging enough. Imagine the gaps between species from different worlds. As if hearing this conversation, Soul of Dancing Currents drifted over to them. The small being pulsed with soft light and extended a tentacle toward Dr. Grant. "It wants to connect with you," Lisa explained. "Just relax your mind." Dr. Grant hesitated, then nodded. As the tentacle came near her forehead, her eyes widened in amazement. "Oh my," she whispered, I can see. So many worlds, so many different beings, all connected somehow." When the connection ended, Dr. Grant had tears in her eyes. "This changes everything we thought we knew about communication, about consciousness itself." More delegates arrived hourly. Scientists, military leaders, and government officials from around the world gathered in and around the small coastal lab. Some were afraid, others excited. All were changed by what they witnessed. Eric found himself explaining for the 20th time how they had found Soul of Dancing Currents when he noticed Lisa staring intently at the small alien. "What's wrong?" he asked. "It's showing me something new," she said slowly. "Something important. The Vexari aren't just explorers or warriors, they're guardians of something. And they're not alone in watching Earth." Krevtor rose from his meditation and approached them. "Soul of Dancing Currents has chosen to share deeper truths with you. This is significant." "What truths?" Colonel Franklin asked, joining the conversation. The massive alien's four eyes blinked in sequence. "The galaxy is ancient and filled with life. Some wish to help emerging species like yours. Others would exploit you. The collective serves as a balance." On the main screen of the command center, a new alert appeared. Satellite imagery showed multiple objects entering Earth's orbit. Not just one Vexari ship, but 3. Panic rippled through the room. Colonel Franklin barked orders to remain calm. "Are these your people?" she demanded of Krevtor. "Yes. The Council of 17 has sent representatives. This is unusual. They rarely intervene directly with pre-coalition species." Eric felt Soul of Dancing Currents touch his mind again. This time the images were clearer than ever before. Vast libraries of knowledge, technological wonders beyond human imagination, and peaceful cooperation between wildly different species. "I think," he said slowly, "they're considering inviting us to join them." Lisa nodded. "Soul of Dancing Currents is saying our actions, saving it instead of exploiting it, showed them something about humanity they didn't expect." Krevtor made a sound that his translator didn't catch. It seemed like approval. "The next hours will determine your world's future," the alien warrior said simply. "Prepare yourselves." Eric and Lisa worked late in the lab that night. The only sound was the gentle splashing of Spark swimming in its tank. Outside, the wind had picked up, and dark clouds covered the moon. "Maybe we should take Spark somewhere else," Lisa suggested. "If its owners are coming, they might not be friendly." Eric shook his head. "Where would we go, and how do we know they'd find us?" Suddenly, all the screens in the lab went dark. The lights flickered and died. Even their phones stopped working at the same time. "That's not a normal power outage," Eric said, grabbing a flashlight from a drawer. Lisa went to Spark's tank. The creature was glowing brighter than ever before, pulsing with blue and purple light in a steady rhythm. It swam in excited circles, sending small electric currents through the water. "It knows something we don't," she whispered. A loud knock made them both jump. 3 sharp raps on the main door echoed through the silent lab. Eric shined his light toward the entrance and saw shadowy figures through the frosted glass. The door swung open. 6 soldiers in full gear marched in, followed by a woman in a military uniform with the rank of colonel pinned to her collar. "Dr. Mason, Dr. Webb," she said firmly. "I'm Colonel Diane Franklin, United States Army. We've detected unusual energy signatures from this facility. You need to hand over the extraterrestrial specimen immediately." Lisa stepped in front of Sparks. "Tank. How did you know?" "We've been monitoring since it arrived on Earth," Colonel Franklin replied. "Now step aside. This is a matter of national security." Eric moved next to Lisa. It's not dangerous. It's intelligent and trying to communicate with us. That's not your call to make, the colonel said, signaling her soldiers to move forward. Before anyone could take another step, a deep rumbling shook the building. Dust and small pieces of plaster fell from the ceiling. The soldiers raised their weapons, looking around nervously. Earthquake? One of them asked. No, Colonel Franklin said, her face going pale as she looked at a device in her hand. Something just broke through the atmosphere directly above us. The rumbling grew louder. The ceiling lights swung wildly. Suddenly, with a deafening crack, the center of the ceiling burst inward. Concrete and steel beams crashed to the floor, narrowly, missing them all. Through the massive hole they could see the night sky. But the stars were blocked by something enormous hovering above the building. A beam of intense white light shot down through the opening. Within the beam, a massive figure descended slowly into the lab. As it touched the ground, the light faded, away. Everyone stared in shocked silence. Standing before them was a being unlike anything they had ever seen. It towered over 8 feet tall, with broad shoulders and 4 powerful arms. Each hand held a different weapon, devices that hummed. With strange energy, its body was covered in gleaming armor with symbols etched across the surface. The soldiers raised their guns, but Colonel Franklin held up her hand, stopping them. The being's helmet had no visible visor, just a smooth, reflective surface. Slowly, it reached up with one of its upper arms and touched the side of its neck. The helmet retracted with a soft hiss, folding into the collar of the armor. The face revealed had 4 eyes, 2 large ones in the normal position, and 2 smaller ones above them. Its skin was a deep blue-gray, and instead of a mouth, it had mandibles that clicked softly as it surveyed the humans. Then its gaze found Spark's tank. The giant alien's expression changed in a way they could somehow understand despite its strange features. Relief, joy, concern. The being knelt down, setting its weapons carefully on the floor. It extended one massive hand toward the tank. Spark leapt from the water, splashing excitedly, and floated through the air as if gravity didn't matter. The small creature landed gently in the alien's palm and curled its tentacles around the armored fingers. The reunion was complete. No one moved. No one spoke. The soldiers kept their weapons aimed at the giant alien, but their hands trembled. Colonel Franklin looked between the alien and Spark, her face a mixture of fear and amazement. Finally, Eric took a small step forward. "Hello," he said simply. The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. It reached to its belt and removed a small device. After pressing a few symbols on its surface, the device projected a holographic display that floated in the air. "I am Krevtor," a mechanical voice translated. "Sentinel-class warrior of the Vexari Collective. I have come for Soul of Dancing Currents." The alien gently stroked Spark with one finger. The creature, Soul of Dancing Currents, pulsed with happy colors. "We call it Spark," Lisa said. "We found it trapped in a fishing net 3 weeks ago." Krevtor's mandibles clicked rapidly. The translator took a moment to process. "You saved. Soul of Dancing Currents, you cared for my companion?" "Yes," Eric replied. "It was hurt. We helped it get better." The massive alien did something unexpected. It knelt down on one knee, bowing its head slightly toward Eric and Lisa. When it spoke, again, the mechanical voice carried a tone of deep gratitude. "The people of Water Between Stars are sacred to us. They help us navigate the emotional spectrum. Without them, we would be lost. You have performed the highest service one being can do for another." Colonel Franklin stepped forward, her hand still on her pistol. "What exactly are you doing on Earth? Is this an invasion?" Krevtor rose to full height again, towering over everyone in the room. The soldiers tensed. "No invasion. Our scout ship malfunctioned during a standard observation. Soul of Dancing Currents was separated from me in the emergency landing. I have been searching for 3 of your Earth months. Observation?" Colonel Franklin's voice was sharp. "You've been watching us?" "For 62 of your years," Krevtor replied. "Your species is of interest to the collective. Your rapid technological development is..." Unusual. One of the soldiers shifted nervously, and his finger tightened on the trigger. Krevtor noticed the small movement. Faster than seemed possible for such a large being, the alien had 3 of its weapons aimed at different points in the room. The 4th arm still cradled Spark protectively. "Please instruct your warriors to lower their weapons," Krevtor said calmly. "I do not wish to harm any who helped Soul of Dancing Currents, but I will defend if needed." Lisa stepped between them. "Everyone stay calm, we can talk this through." Colonel Franklin hesitated, then slowly raised her hand. "Stand down," she ordered her team. The soldiers lowered their guns, looking relieved. Eric moved closer to Krevtor. "Can you tell us more about your people? Why have you been watching Earth?" The aliens' weapons returned to their holsters so smoothly it was hard to track the movement. From a compartment in its armor, Krevtor removed a small cube that expanded into a 3-dimensional star map when placed on the floor. The Vexari Collective includes 17 spacefaring species across this sector of the galaxy. The translator explained as Krevtor pointed to different star systems. "We seek peaceful exchange of knowledge and resources, but we are cautious with emerging civilizations." "Cautious why?" Lisa asked. All 4 of Krevtor's eyes focused on her. "Your species has a bewildering tendency towards self-destruction. You fight among yourselves over resources that could be shared. You damage your own habitat. This is concerning." Spark, Soul of Dancing Currents, floated up from Krevtor's hand and hovered between the humans and the alien. It pulsed with gentle colors, and suddenly all of them felt a wave of calm wash over their minds. "It wants us to understand each other," Lisa realized. Krevtor nodded. "The bond you formed with Soul of Dancing Currents cannot be broken. In our culture, this makes you family, and this changes everything." 1 week passed in a blur of meetings, discussions, and preparations. The world's leaders finally agreed to accept the Vexari's offer of partnership. After much debate, they also approved Eric and Lisa's role as the first human ambassadors to the collective. On the final day, they stood on the beach near their research facility, the same spot where they had first found Soul of Dancing Currents in the fishing net. How different everything was now. "Are you scared?" Eric asked Lisa as they watched the waves. She nodded, a little but more excited than scared. A small crowd had gathered to see them off. Colonel Franklin, Dr. Grant, and other scientists and officials they had worked with during the past intense days. "You 2 ready for this?" Colonel Franklin asked, shaking their hands. "Biggest assignment anyone's ever had. We'll do our best," Eric promised. The sky darkened suddenly as a massive shadow passed overhead. Looking up, they saw the Vexari ship hovering silently above the beach. It was beautiful and strange, shaped like a giant lotus flower made of shimmering metal. Krevtor stood nearby, once again in his full armor. Soul of Dancing Currents floated happily around him. "It is time," the warrior said. Dr. Grant approached them with 2 small devices. "These are special communicators we made based on Vexari technology. They'll let you send messages back to Earth no matter how far you go. Send us everything you learn," she added with a smile. "The scientific community has about 1 million questions for you to ask." A beam of soft light extended from the ship to the beach. The Vexari counselors appeared within it, their robes flowing around them. "Eric Mason and Lisa Webb of Earth," the lead counselor said formally. "Are you prepared to journey with us as representatives of your world?" They stepped forward together. "We are," they answered in unison. "Very well. The collective welcomes Earth as a provisional member. Full membership will be decided after a period of cultural exchange." Soul of Dancing Currents swam through the air to Lisa and gently wrapped a tentacle around her wrist. In her mind, she saw countless stars and worlds waiting to be discovered. Eric turned to take one last look at Earth, the blue ocean, the green trees, the faces of their fellow humans watching in wonder. He felt the weight of their responsibility, but also hope for what this new chapter would bring. "I never thought saving a strange creature from a fishing net would lead to this," he said, quietly. Colonel Franklin smiled. "That's how the big moments in history often happen. Small acts of kindness that change everything." The Vexari counselors moved back into the light beam. Krevtor gestured for Eric and Lisa to join them. "Will you return to Earth?" "Dr. Grant?" asked Krevtor. The warrior nodded. "I will serve as guardian and guide between our worlds. This is now my honored duty." As Eric and Lisa stepped into the light, Soul of Dancing Currents moved between them, its colors shifting happily. The small being that had brought two worlds together pulsed with joy. The beam began to rise slowly. Eric and Lisa waved to their friends below. The crowd cheered and waved back, their faces full of emotion. Higher and higher they rose, until they passed through an opening in the massive ship. Inside, they found themselves in a vast chamber filled with light and strange plants. Other Vexari moved about, working at stations with technology beyond human understanding. A large window showed, Earth growing smaller below them. The blue planet looked peaceful from space, one world among countless others in the vast universe. "Welcome," Krevtor said, "to your first step among the stars." Soul of Dancing Currents floated up between them all, its colors forming a beautiful pattern that somehow felt like home. The journey had begun. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe.